Hello, N4H&H here with the Yaesu FT-710 AESS. Okay, remember the AESS part is that speaker there that comes with the transceiver. That's the SP40, and I've already shot a video about how to set that up. The acoustic enhanced speaker system is controlled in the function menu, you remember right here. Okay, that's not what this video is about, but just to reiterate what that all stands for. Balancing between the internal speaker and the external speaker, the loudness, as well as the frequency range that you want each speaker to carry. Okay, a little bonus on this video. But let me show you what I want to show you because, well, I have an opportunity, although, well, it's not necessarily a great opportunity. But I've got some power line noise that just started creeping in while I was listening to the fellas here on the 3.856 group. Hear that buzz? And it will get worse as the day warms up. So let me pan back over there a little bit and show you what I'm going to do. I've already got a contour filter on. You see that there? Let me reset all of that. And I've got the width narrowed. Just pressing in. You select what you want to reset, if you will. In the DSP, you tap this to go into the DSP, and you'll see if it's orange, it's active. So I'm going to switch over to contour and also disable it or reset it. And it also disables it, but it resets it. And what I mean by reset is it's going to put it back to its default values. Okay, so listen to what we've got going on here. Now, I do have RF gain rolled back. If you look at the S meter there, resting at about S6, RF gain right here. See, if I rotate it all the way up, it's even worse. So that, I noticed just then, it's around an S3 noise level from that power line buzz. Really, it's S3 to S5. So I'm going to roll it back to S6. All right, now let's see what the noise blanker can do to help out. Helps it some. Going to go into the menu, function knob, go into the menu. Operation setting, receive DSP. Noise blanker rejection is on high. Noise blanker width on medium, which is default.
Don't apologize for that. We do that all the time. That's the customer.
So also note that if you think that low is if low is enough, high is enough, then high should be great, right? It's not that way. Sometimes the low noise blanker rejection setting will actually work better than the high. So just experiment with that. So here are the defaults. When you change them, press the function knob to lock it in. Now, while we're here, you'll notice up here at the top, I always set my IF notch to narrow. That's for the manual notch because remember, I use it with CW, and if you haven't seen that, watch those videos. There's videos on with the other radios. Don't forget, the videos I shoot with the FT-710, FT-710, even the 891, techniques I show apply to all of these radios, I would say, to a 90% level. Just the menus and knobs are in a different place, but I may teach a technique on one radio, and then you can use it, apply that to the radio you have, even if it's not a Yaesu. Okay, so yes, there are certain features Yaesus have, the others do not, and so that feature you wouldn't be able to apply. But I've told you in other videos how to simulate the contour filter with an ICOM 7300, even though it does not have one. Not as effective as an actual contour filter, but it does give you a similar effect. So The problem with the higher settings is that they can introduce distortion. And that noise is intermittent. You can hear it kind of popping in and out. So I'm just going to leave it there. Really hate to have to use the noise blanker because of the fact that it can introduce some distortion. Now I'm going to turn on the digital noise reduction, this button here. It is set at the maximum usable setting. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to long press it. It's at 3. If you go above 3, it'll go to 15. The background noise disappears, but you get that distortion that I've shown in other videos. So I'm going to leave it on 3. All right, so far I have, I mean, let me just mention, this is just normal for me. I run IPO on this band. I run IPO on every band if I can. Intercept point optimization should always be used before an attenuator. I've got it on, and I'm attenuating 12 dB. That's my standard for 80 meters. I usually run IPO in 6 dB for 40 meters, IPO and 18 dB for 160 meters. Just my standard setup there. All right, and
now I have it.
We've got digital noise reduction now along with noise blanker. You can see it on the display. Whoops, touched it. You can see it on the display right along in there. RF gains roll back to S6 because not everybody is in my skip zone, so some of them I can't hear anyway. But the strong ones are coming in S6 or higher.
I've got one over here. I've got a gallon of oil and everything. I'll do that after a while.
There's no noise blanker.
If everybody can hear me, I'll use it where it's at.
Okay, I'm going to do something right now. I'm going to leave the noise blanker off, and I want to show you another use of the contour filter. So that's contour right there.
That's what mine is.
You tap your step MCH DSP button, and that brings you into the DSP menu. And then if it's gray, it's not active. So I'm going to move it over here to contour. By the way, in CW mode, that will cycle between contour and the APF, audio peak filter. So I'm going to engage contour, and it engages at 1500 hertz. And that is the default. That's what happened when I hit that reset. When I pressed this in a while ago when I was on contour, watch, you press it in. It's going to go back to 1500 and also disable contour. Now, for when I'm using the contour filter, I'm usually using it at around 2000 hertz plus or minus 300. And really, most of the time I find that either 1900, 1950, 2000, 2050 or 2100 is a sweet spot. But it can, depending on the other person's voice, you might need to go a little beyond that, up to maybe 2300 or down to 17. Because what this contour filter is doing is it's knocking the noise down. You see that the shape of the filter there? It's knocking the noise down up in the frequency range where the human voice is the most intelligible. And again, that'll vary according to voice and male and female and such as that. But that's the sweet spot. So let me disable it. So you see how that helped mask the noise. But you notice it takes the high frequencies out as well, because it's notching some high frequencies. The noise is virtually gone though, even without the noise blanker. That's with the noise blanker. Now, let's recover some of the lost high frequencies in the voice. A couple of different ways to do that. I went back into the DSP and I can go over here to width. See, it's set at the default for 3000. I don't run it at 3000. I like 2100. I've been using 2100 for years because I put a 2.1K or 2100 hertz INRAD roofing filter into my Yaesu FT-710. I actually had a board in there, and I could switch back and forth between the 2.1 and the original 2.8 that came in the radio. it takes out the mud, also helps with selectivity as far as interference up the band. I'm listening 2.1 kilohertz wide rather than 3. The more narrow you can listen, the better you have a chance of rejecting some of the interference from another station up or down the band. I've shown you that in other videos too. That's what the width control can do for you. So I've narrowed the width, and that brought back some of the high frequencies in their voice because I am not emphasizing as much low frequency. Okay, what's the filter when I operate it? Look up here, you can see it in this little window. See, it widens both ends. It adds more highs and it adds more lows. Interestingly enough, my Yaesu FT-710 had a width control that allowed you to separately control the low cut and the high cut, which was kind of nice. My old analog Timewave DSP 59 Plus, if you've watched any of the videos that show it, look for a video called Hello Old Friend, where I use it in conjunction with my very first HF radio that I bought, an FT-890 from Yaesu. It would allow you to control low cut and high cut separately. So now what you can do is you can set it at 2100, like I've got here, and then you can move over to shift, and you can emphasize lows by going counterclockwise. You can emphasize highs by going clockwise. So I'm going to go to 60 plus there. Whoops, looks like I moved off frequency. I'm going to tap the power button to lock that frequency in. Those of you who have an FTDX10, you have a lock button, so don't get confused there if you have both. On this radio, you tap the power button to turn on lock. Same as with a Yaesu FT-891. Now, we've cleaned that up quite a bit. Remember, we're not going for hi-fi audio here. We're going for communications quality audio. We need to pick them up. We need to hear them with clarity. Now, let me show you another approach. I'm going to go ahead and put the shift, press in, it's blinking. I can move it. I'm going to put it back at 0. And I'll put width. I won't go all the way back to the default because I don't care for it, but I'll go to, say, 2600, which is that's kind of a happy medium for me. Now, I'm going to leave the contour filter on because remember what I'm doing is I'm trying to make up for the loss of fidelity when I use that contour filter to knock that noise down near where their voice is the most intelligible. So what another approach is to go into the function menu, radio setting, and you may recall that I showed you this in the earliest videos on this rig. And I say earliest videos, I think the unboxing video number 9, could have been video number 10. You've got separate AF treble, that is audio frequency treble, middle, and bass gain controls here. And the FTDX10 has that as well. Interestingly enough, the FTDX101D or MP does not have it. So I'm going to go to the treble, which is the first option here. Click it, press on the function knob, and I'll increase the treble gain to 10. Now you can also see there's the difference. Now you can go down here and cut the lows.
Just ask her that and stand back when you do. When I get up out of the floor, do you want me to tell you?
So 2 different approaches on that. Now, you're going to think, well, which one should I use, Doug? Well, honestly, situational. But this setting, think of it as kind of semi-permanent. You got to always go back in there and do that, make that change if you're dealing with a situation where you're using contour. So let's put it back where it was. And see, it darkens up, but Doing it the way I did it a while ago,
Well, this woman had a little old fuzzy dog. She didn't know what kind
this is
of
why I would argue to do it this way.
And it got to let couldn't hear.
By the way, that 2250 is a really good happy medium. Let's go there. Using this method, and then shift. That's a setting that I did not have to go into the big menu and change anything, and I can move to another band and everything will be back to normal. See, that's going into the function menu, that's a global change. This is situational, only on that particular band stack. Remember, every time you press band and function, you cycle through 3 different frequencies, modes, filter settings, DSP settings per band. So back to that one. And it's remembering all of those settings. See, if I go to the next band stack, it's AM. It's a completely different setup. I go to this band stack, it's CW, completely different setup. So go back to that band stack. So that's one of the reasons I would argue to do it here. That way it's situational. And of course, the other thing is simply to undo everything, you simply go to that setting and press in on the long press this knob here, the step MCH DSP knob.
I'm not putting it on my arms or under my arms. She said, I'm going to put it on my schnauzer. He said, in that case,
and that resets everything.
You don't ride your bicycle for 2 weeks. Get back. AT4WE. Oh, I forgot Fred was on. You shouldn't have told that while Fred.
Okay, so I'll put it back the way it was, just so you can hear that as I end the video.
That was a good one. A gargle.
I'm going to go to 1900. That seems to work great.
What do you want me to gargle?
Width, again, I don't run that at 3000. This is radio communications. I'm going to go to that sweet spot, 2250. And shift to plus 60. Remember, plus shift is going to emphasize high frequencies and de-emphasize low frequencies. It's not boost or cuss, just emphasis. So, again, watch up in here, and as I move the shift, you see, moving to the left, that's going towards low frequency emphasis. Moving to the right is going towards high frequency emphasis. Now, when you're trying to block out interference from somebody up or down the band, remember my rule on that, and I've taught it on all these other videos, I think, for maybe, I know I've taught it on the 10 and the 5000. If you're getting interference from somebody, let's say 2.5K away, or even 3K away, and it's a high metallic sound, then that's where you want to narrow the shift or narrow the width. Maybe if they're 2 kilohertz away, maybe go down to something like 1650 or 1800, and then you go to shift. And if it's a higher metallic sounding interference, you want to go negative with your shift. And you may find yourself going down into the 120 range, even 200 range, okay? You're just doing this so you can block that interference and be able to focus on the person you're listening to. Now, if the interference is a low honking type of sound, lower pitch, lower frequency, you're going to want to shift plus. So if it's a higher metallic sound and you shift plus, you're just going to make it worse. All right, so just another little bonus on this video, packing a lot into it because, well, this is going to be one of the latter videos I do for this rig because I have to turn it back in. Now, see here how thin he is because I set it up as if I were dealing with somebody 2 kilohertz away interfering. There's that sweet spot, 2250. And again, I'm still running contour to help minimize even more noise. And okay, one little negative here that because I am nitpicky on some of these things, and you've seen that in previous videos. I'm using contour here to make up for the fact that the digital noise reduction is not as effective in the FT-710 AESS as it is in the FT-DX10. In the FT-DX10, I really would not have needed the contour filter. Now, what I might have done is run the DNR at a higher level, and then I would have still done what I did here with shift and width, okay? But in this case, what I'm doing is if you think of it, I'm cascading digital noise reduction with contour to try to get better results in knocking that noise down. If I hadn't had the power line noise, I would have still done this just to get rid of the background noise, but the power line noise threw another kink in the works, which sparked me to go, you know what, this is a great opportunity to show almost a worst case scenario. All right, well, I hope you found the video helpful and informative. I packed a lot into this one, I guess. It looks like it's going to be a little over 20 minutes, but I guess I should have broken it up, but hopefully you'll watch it all the way to the end and catch all these things. Again, do hope you found it helpful and informative. Thank you to the Patreon support team members who bring these videos to you. Without them, I would not be able to afford the time and expense to put these videos out. So if you find these videos valuable, consider joining the Patreon support team at www.patreon.com/N4HNH. That's patreon.com/N4HNH, and I'll put that on the screen. Also, please, if you would, give the video a thumbs up. The like button, that helps us out with YouTube, costs you nothing. And also consider subscribing to the channel. That also helps with YouTube. And if you do subscribe, be sure to click that bell, that notification bell, and you'll be notified when I upload the next video. I usually upload a couple a week on average. And finally, if you would, consider sharing the link to this video on social media, text message, email, or phone a friend. Hey, thanks again for watching, and 73 from N4HNH.